Ladies and gentlemen, the goal in your life is not to figure out how to be comfortable in your mental prisons, but to realize that you have the keys to set yourself free.
Hey everybody, welcome to How to Be Mesmerizing. It's Tim Shurr, and today, we have a legend in the house. Bob Proctor is here with us. Bob, welcome to the program.
Tim's real pleasure.
Oh my goodness, the pleasure is mine. So for anybody that doesn't know, Bob Proctor is one of the most successful and well-known and beloved personal development gurus that are alive today. I mean, he is extraordinary. He's written so many books, produced so many programs. He is at the top of his game and a true master at the law of attraction. I have his books on my desk all the time. I just finished reading his It's Not About the Money, and You Were Born Rich sits on my desk all the time. So Bob, this is a real honor. So let's jump right in. What would you say is the secret to success?
I think the secret to success is understanding it. I don't think most people really understand what success is. Earl Nightingale, I believe, gives the best definition of success that I've ever read, and I've read a lot of them. He said that success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So if we take and think of that, it's knowing where you are and where you're going and moving in that direction. You could be a business person with, let's say, an estate of 5 million and you're working towards 10. And if you're progressively moving in that direction, you're a successful person. You could be a student in school with a C and D average and you're working towards an A and B average and you're progressively moving in that direction. You're a successful person. One equally as successful as the other. It doesn't really have a lot to do with where we are. It has to do with the direction we're going in our life. Now, I've read a lot of definitions for success, but that's the best one I've ever found. Now, I have found a few where somebody took Earl's definition and bastardized it so they could put their name on it, but he came up with that around 1950. I got it in 1961. Earl died in 1989, never changed a word. I've been studying it ever since, and I've never changed a word. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Now, if you break that down, it's got to be worthy of you because you're trading your life for it. And it's progressive realization, so every day you're moving closer to it. I loved the way he put on a recording one time, as you move towards your goal's moving toward you. I never really understood that for a long time until I started to understand the law of attraction, law of vibration, various laws. And of course, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That is beautiful and so profound. And I'm so excited that you shared it just like that. You know, one of the delights that I have is I've got a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old, two boys. And I have them sit down for these interviews and take show notes, right? So that they can soak in the wisdom, because the younger generations really need this kind of understanding. And
that's a brilliant idea. Yeah.
Thank you.
And they'll digest every bit of it.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I love that you have that definition of success and how you relate it to that. As long as you are working towards a worthy goal, and as long as you are feeling like you're making progress or you have momentum, it's not about happy or sad. You know, it's about, you know, are you making progress and doing something that causes you to grow into the person that you'll end up loving being. Right?
He said, if you're working towards a worthy ideal, James Allen put it very well in his little book, As a Man Thinketh. An ideal is an idea that we've fallen in love with. An ideal is an idea you're intellectually, emotionally, and physically involved in. And if a person's working towards something like that, they're going to live a pretty meaningful life. And if a person isn't, if they don't have an objective, their life is going to be very shallow and meaningless, you know.
Yeah. So what advice do you give when people say, that sounds great, I wish I knew what I had, what my ideal was, what I'm passionate about. I just know that I'm not happy where I'm at. What's my next step?
Well, I think they have to gain all we're ever doing is developing a greater awareness. And they have to become aware of what life is really about. And it's about unfolding, it's expanding our own consciousness, becoming more aware. I recommend that a person sit down, preferably in the morning. I think the morning's a good time. I think we're more creative in the morning. That's why doctors operate early in the morning. Their hands steady, the patient's more receptive. But if a person sat down every morning and asked himself, what do I really love doing? And spend some time and think, what do they love doing? That's what they should spend their life doing. And it doesn't matter whether they're going to earn any money at it or not. I was doing a seminar one time, not 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess, in Phoenix, and a doctor came up and he was talking to me. He told me he was thinking of quitting the profession. I said, why are you going to quit? Well, he said, the medical profession's all messed up. He said, you can't earn any money at it now. You got to put in more time to earn less money. And I said, well, that's probably true. But I said, why did you become a doctor in the first place? Well, he said, I love it. I said, then it shouldn't make any difference whether you're earning any money or not. Now, the fact that you can earn money and do what you love, that is huge. I said, you don't go to work to earn money. You go to work for satisfaction. You provide service to earn money. I said, you can be providing service when you're sleeping. You can earn more money when you're sleeping. You can spend when you're awake. See, here he is, a fairly well-schooled person, got a doctorate degree, but knows nothing about earning money, and he thought he went to work to earn money. Well, that's rather sad. And that's pretty common, too. That's like, he's not an exception to the rule.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff, Bob, because, if people learn about you right now, they think, well, you're the guy who uses the law of attraction to become wealthy, to attract all this abundance into your life. It's all about having anything you want, just using the law of attraction. And what you're saying, which is why the last title of your book was, it's not about the money, is that it's really about fulfillment. And then once you know what fulfills you, what fills you up, then how can you use that to attract more prosperity into your life? Is that right?
Absolutely. Well, I think, I believe we're here to do God's work. And somebody will say, well, what's God's work? Well, God's the creator, so God's work is creation. And we were given creative faculties, but we weren't taught that we were given creative faculties. We don't even know what they are. And so we go through life just using our senses because that's where we've been programmed. And we're going by what's going on around us, outside of us, what we hear, see, smell, taste, touch. I've pointed out for years now that we're the only creature on the planet that's totally disoriented in our environment. All the other little creatures are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. We don't. We've been given the mental faculties to create our own environment. But we don't learn much about that. We have perception, the will, reason, imagination, memory, intuition. They're higher faculties. They're our creative faculties. That's what makes us who we are. That's where we were created in God's image. See, I think the real problem runs in where I think we believe we're created in God's image, but we've got it mixed, and we created God in our image. And so you're looking for a man on a cloud, and of course that's going to cause problems,
Yes, for sure. Yeah, you're right. It comes back to, a lack of understanding, a lack of really training and personal development. A lot of people don't even understand what personal development or self-help is. And it's really about emotional intelligence and developing maturity and understanding how to apply the gifts that God has given us. And most just don't understand it, or like you said earlier, the message gets bastardized, and so people end up having a lot of pain, stress, worry associated to money. Because on one hand, someone might be listening to this and say, oh yeah, it sounds great. Go do what I love, and don't worry if I make any money at it, but how am I going to pay my bills? So I'm sure you've heard that 1,000 times. What's usually your response to that?
Well, I think a person has to, first of all, understand what money is. It's a reward received for service rendered. The more service you provide, the more money you're going to earn. Like, you'll often hear people say that these athletes aren't worth the millions, or these recording artists, the singers, like, they're not worth the millions. The truth is they are. They are entertaining thousands of people, millions of people all over the world. And so they're getting rewarded for it. We can find ways of providing service without working. I was flying to Malaysia, way back 1990, I guess. And it's a 25-hour trip in the air from Toronto. So it's a long ride. And I work with numbers and words. I'm always brainstorming with myself on that. And I wrote $1 million at the top of a sheet of paper. And then I got thinking, I had earned $1 million in the 60s. But never thought much of it, really. And I thought, what is different about people that earn millions of dollars and the ones that don't? And I kept playing with that, so I thought of a few people that I knew that earned a fair amount of money. And I realized that they don't just have one source of income. They have many sources of income. Well, I played around with that until I got it down that they have multiple sources of income, MSIs. And when I got off the plane, I got the idea, I'm going to create a seminar to teach people to earn $1 million by setting up multiple sources of income. And I phoned Mark Victor Hansen down Newport Beach. This is way back 1990. And I explained it to him, and I said, let's start. And we did. We run seminars. That's where the Chicken Soup for the Soul books came from. We started what's called the $1 Million Forum. And we were teaching people how to set up multiple sources of income. And you work with people. You work together with people. And that was a tremendous success. We did a number of seminars in various places, and then we finally broke it up. But because there was a number of us worked at it together. We had Mark in it, and he got Jack, and we got Lee Poulos out of Vancouver. We've started a thing called MSI Connect in our company. And the sole purpose of it is to connect with people that are setting up multiple sources of income and connect with other people. Like, if you've got an idea that you can earn money on, maybe I could work with you on it and gain benefit, or maybe I've got one that you could work with me and gain a benefit. You might be an affiliate of mine, or I might be an affiliate of yours. There's so many different ways of doing this. It's cooperation rather than competition.
Yes.
And when a person starts to understand this, and they start to understand the concept of multiple sources of income, don't have one. I'm not quite sure how many sources I have. I have a lot of them, but because I don't even look after them. But anyone can set up multiple sources. And I think that's one of the tricks of life. Because if you're not earning enough money, you got a lot of problems. When you have more money than you need, I always say you'll be amazed how much free time you have when you never have to think about money. Yeah. A lot of time is spent thinking of money if you haven't got enough. You're forever thinking, how am I going to pay this? How am I going to pay that? And you waste so much energy. And we're not taught how to earn money. We should be taught. We should teach kids in school. Like your kids, your two boys, you can teach them how to earn money. You can teach them, they can set up, there's all kinds of young people earning a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And they want to gain a respect for it, so they work properly with it,
Absolutely. I love this, Bob. And I mean, you're just laying it out so eloquently, because if you don't invest in personal development, if you aren't listening to a program like this right now, where where someone gets to hear all this wisdom that you're laying down, they wouldn't even be exposed to the idea of being an affiliate, where you don't even have to have a product or know anything really about it to be able to support or sell somebody else's product and create a win-win.
It's a subject that has been neglected for centuries, and it's too bad. The vast majority of people never learn how to earn money. They learn a lot of things. You could have a doctorate degree in economics and still not know how to earn money. You know how to count it, you know how to store it and invest it, but you don't know how to earn it. And that's sad. I've been working at teaching people how to earn money for many, many years. You know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes you such a treasure in this world, because you're teaching stuff that, you know, the information and the mindset and giving people the tools that we desperately need. And there's so much noise out there, but anybody that knows you knows that you are high value content, right? And laying out a plan and giving all kinds of, and even doing things like, I'm going to even help create the space for this to happen, like with your MSI and your chairman's club, you know, and all the other ways that you are trying to unite people and bring people together. So it's pretty remarkable. And I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but I want to thank you for doing such an amazing job and devoting your life to making this world a better place. So let me ask you this. You've known some incredible people. You've hung out with the legends, the thought leaders of the world, and of course, being one of them. What is, you know, like one of the best bits of advice that you were ever given?
Well, to study. Never stop studying. I was in here in the studio 4:45 this morning, and these are things I was working on this morning. I have pieces of literature that I study every morning. Are you familiar with this book, Power of Awareness?
No,
By Neville.
I'm going to make myself aware of it.
Power of Awareness by Neville. And it has a red band across the bottom. Make sure the maroon band. Because there are different books. This is Power of Awareness by Neville. But make sure it's got this red band across the bottom.
Done.
Now, he said, determined imagination, thinking from the end, is the beginning of all miracles. That is so good. So you imagine yourself, you've already done it. You're already there. And he said, the future must become the present in the imagination of the person who would wisely and consciously create circumstance. Well, I've been studying this one page for days. And I was on the phone with Sandy Gallagher from about 8:30 till 9 this morning. We were studying this one page together. And we were talking about where we would apply it. The secret, I think, to growing is study. And if you don't study, you're going to stay where you are. You have to keep studying. I learned how to study when I worked with Earl Nightingale. And I've got a book holder here on my desk that has a book open. Now, I've been reading those same 2 pages for maybe 3 months. And it's the repetition of the information that alters the programming in our subconscious mind. Because we are programmed, we have a paradigm. And it's not what we know, it's the paradigm that controls our behavior. You can be the smartest guy in town and still lose. There's all kinds of people. You know people who have degrees, all kinds of degrees, but they're losing. They're in debt. Their business is failing. And that is because the part of our mind that controls our behavior, which produces our results, is not the part of our mind where we gather all the information. The conscious mind gathers information, and of course, you read the book, you remember it, and you repeat it, you think you know it. Well, you don't know it at all because you got to do it. So I think we have to understand paradigms, we have to understand how they're formed, we have to understand how they're changed. And if we don't understand that, we're probably going to stay stuck. I have found that most people that are highly successful are what you call unconscious competence. They cannot really articulate on why they're doing so well. They're programmed to win, but they can't explain why. They'll say, well, I just do this and I do that. They think it's nothing to it. And for them, it's nothing to it. They have a good paradigm. But there's only 4 or 5% of the population like that. Everybody else has a paradigm where they're programmed to struggle. And we've got to understand this, then we have to understand how to change the paradigm. Now that's really where I focus all my attention. And in teaching everything I teach.
Mm-hmm. Yes, me too. I have taken up that torch as well, and focus almost exclusively on your unconscious programming and those beliefs, those paradigms, right? And how to upgrade them. Because the most insidious one that I found that it seems like almost everybody has is I'm not good enough. And because I'm not enough, all the other fears and insecurities, sprout from that.
See, the truth is our spiritual DNA is perfect. There's perfection within us. And that perfection is always seeking expression through us, with and through us. That's why we want beyond where we're at. We always want more. We always want to run faster, jump higher. And that is the spiritual essence of us wanting to express itself to a greater degree.
Yes.
And I think when we really start to understand that, we're away to the races.
Preach on, Brother Bob. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. So, in your, I think that you would agree that it's important that we have role models because they speed up our ability to recognize our own paradigms, our own beliefs, and feed it back to us because you can't fix what you're not aware of. And so was there a particular one or two role models that you had in your life in addition to Earl Nightingale, and why did they become your mentors?
Well, the first one I had was a man named Ray Stanford. And he was my first mentor. He's the one that got me involved in reading Think and Grow Rich. I read it every day.
Yes.
And he told me I could have anything I wanted. Now, I really didn't believe that, but I believed he believed it. And so I started to do what he told me. And it was a good habit. So I have had a half a dozen great mentors. Had Llyod, Conant, Earl Nightingale, the two of them. Whatever they suggested, I did it. And I think when a person gets a coach or a mentor, they should do exactly what the coach tells them until they find out the person doesn't know what they're talking about or that the person's lying. Do exactly what they tell you. And we want to get direction from people who have accomplished what we want to accomplish. Not just the next door neighbor, our brother-in-law, or something like that. We want to go to someone who's demonstrated by results they really know what they're doing. And when we do that, I think then we start moving in the right direction. Now I had Ray Stanford was the first one. I was 26. And then I had Earl Nightingale and Llyod Conant. I had Bill Gove. Did you ever hear Bill speak?
I haven't heard him speak, but I hear his name regularly.
Bill was a phenomenal speaker. And Val Vanderwall. I've had about 7. And these were all brilliant individuals, and I learned an awful lot from them. They were all accomplished at what they did. And I think that's what you look for in a coach. Look for someone that has done or is doing what you want to accomplish.
Yes. And then when you hire them and they ask you to do something,
do exactly what they say. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, be coachable. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, you've had this incredible career. And I'm sure there's, people focus on the highs, but I'm sure there's been plenty of bumps in the road as well. So do you ever get scared now? And if you do, how do you switch it? How do you turn it?
I don't think I get scared. I certainly have doubts. And I know when I have the doubts, I'm moving in the right direction because I'm going where I've never been. And that's where we should always be going. We should be moving on to a higher level.
Nice.
And I suppose fear does enter. But I understand what's doing it. It's ignorance, because I've never been there. I've never done that. So that causes some nervousness. But you overcome it through understanding. See, understanding is the opposite of doubt and worry. And the only way to get understanding is through study. There is no other way. So I think you're going to have doubts, and you're going to question yourself if you're going in the right direction. And when you do that, then you know you're going in the right direction. See, if you're going sideways, you already know how to do whatever it is, because you've been there, you've done it. And you've got to keep going. Like Earl said, progressive realization of a worthy ideal, always higher, you know.
Yeah. I love that answer. That's so good. So that, you know, even being uncomfortable, nervous, or scared can be used to grow forward.
Oh, absolutely.
So no matter, yeah, that's so eloquent. I love how you just are phrasing all of this stuff. I always tell people it doesn't matter what shows up. What matters is how you show up. And so I love this advice. So out of all the people that you've met over the years, is there someone in particular, and this is always a tough question, but is there one person or a couple people that were like the most amazing people you ever met? There's usually one or two that sometimes stand out.
Well, Earl Nightingale was probably the one that stands out most in my mind.
Yeah.
I started to read Think and Grow Rich, and then I got Earl Nightingale's condensed narration of it on a recording. And so I started to play the record. And I listened to that for so long. I used to think if God had a voice, you know, he had the greatest pipes. I think he was the guy for me. I just loved the way he studied. He was a very cool person, you know, just never saw him rattle, never saw him hurry. But he was very accomplished, always, you know.
Yeah. Is there something about Earl that you know that maybe most people don't know about him?
Well, Earl was on the Arizona. He was blown into the water on Pearl Harbor, you know. That was never talked about much by anyone. But he was one of about 18 Marines that survived that was blown up. They were literally blown into the water. He never talked about that. He was the most listened to man in the history of the broadcasting industry when I worked with him. When I went to work for him, I felt like a young priest that was going to the Vatican, you know. It was just, it was in 1968. And I'd started to study his material in 61, so when I went there, it was huge, you know. And of course, I got a double benefit because I was working with Llyod, Conant, his partner, too.
Yeah. What was that like?
Oh, Llyod was a great businessman. He was just a great guy. And he and Earl worked together very well. Earl was the creative, the voice, you know, and Earl was the businessman. So it was an interesting venture working with him.
Yeah, people hear that Nightingale-Conantk, you know, and it's become famous now for distributing powerful information. But I don't know if people really know much about Llyod or Vic, you know, and so
Vic's a
and
great
you worked
guy.
there for
Vic's
a number of years.
Vic is a great guy. He's a real good friend. I wanted to, I left there in 73. I went to Llyod and I said, let's give the people the recordings and sell a seminar. We'll sell the seminar and give them the recordings. And he laughed at me. He said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep selling the recordings. We'll leave the seminar business to Carnegie. So I knew it was time for me to leave. And I was living in Glenview, Illinois at the time. And I remember sitting down one day, taking my pen, and saying, I'm going to build a company that operates all over the world. We now operate in 89 countries.
Wow.
Our company has really expanded, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So did you know Dale Carnegie?
No, never met him, no.
Yeah. I know that his Win Friends and Influence People is
a great book, yeah. Very popular.
Yeah, another classic.
Yeah.
So you've been all over the world. You've had amazing seminars. People all over the world love coming to your programs. So has there been a particular adventure that you've ever been on that was just like one that, you look on fondly, you'll always look on fondly, one particular adventure?
Well, I spent quite a bit of time working in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, and I really loved it there. I loved it. And I was trying to analyze why I liked it. My wife didn't like it at all. She liked Singapore, which is next door. I mean, they're just neighboring.
Yes.
She loved Singapore, and Singapore always seemed to me, it was very orderly, very clean, very expensive. Where KL was a little chaotic, but I think there's a spiritual value in Malaysia that you don't find in a lot of places. There's about 18 million people there, and I guess 40, 50, 60% of them are Muslims, so they're praying 5 times a day. You have a very large Christian community there, and they're praying a lot. There's just a lot of praying going on there. So the energy it's really quite extraordinary. I just loved it. And I haven't been there now for quite a while, but when you say, is there something, a favorite adventure, I loved going there. I went there every month for maybe 5 years, just flying back and forth. I did a lot of work there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of travel.
I worked with the airline
I'm sure.
there. And of course, I worked with a lot of insurance companies there. I did a lot of work there, So it was a great adventure. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Yeah. You're known as a very successful businessman, yet you also talk a lot about energy, right? And law of attraction and stuff that maybe in the business world might be looked at as kind of that woo-woo, airy-fairy kind of stuff, right? So what's your response to that?
Well, I understand. They just don't understand where they're coming from. Everything's energy. I mean, everything, including yourself, your own body. We're dealing, everything's spirit. The building, the computer, everything in it, your clothes, it's all made from the same formless substance. We are a soul. We don't have one. We are one. And we're creative, and we can manipulate the energy. We can cause it to move into whatever state we want. We have the ability to change the vibration of things. And we've got to understand that energy operates by law. Spirit operates by law. I see the law as God's modus operandi. And it's something that not a lot of people study. Dr. Wernher von Braun studied the laws, and he was the father of the space program. Well, I think the more you understand the laws and bring your business and your life in harmony with the law, the more successful you're going to be. See, if you're struggling in business, you're probably doing it wrong. There should be no struggle. If you're working in harmony with the law, there's a beautiful flow. Have you read the one where Napoleon Hill, it was big money. Here it is. I do have it. Napoleon Hill wrote about it, and he used the river as an example, and he said there's a power in life, and you could compare it to a river. One flows in one direction, and the other side flows in the other direction. Now the one side flows, you go on to prosperity and everything good. The other side is a struggle, and that's really the way it is in life. If people understand the laws, then business should flow beautifully. And success is normal and it's natural. When we're struggling, we're working against the law. But everything operates like the tide goes out. It doesn't go out again. It comes back. It goes out, it comes in. It goes out and comes in. The night follows the day. Winter never follows winter. These are laws. Carnegie pointed it out. He said there's any idea that's held in our mind, that's emphasized, that's either feared or revered, begins at once to clothe itself in the most convenient and appropriate form available. The idea must move into form. Well, that's the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So when we get an idea, a goal in our mind, that idea must move into form. All we have to do is keep it there. That's why when President Kennedy asked Dr. Wernher von Braun what it would take to build a rocket that would carry a person to the moon and bring him back safely to Earth, he said the will to do it. In other words, the will is the higher faculty that gives you the ability to focus, to concentrate. And he said, if you get an idea and you concentrate and you focus on that idea, it must move into form. Now, Hill pointed out in the Think and Grow Rich book, he said, first you give life, action, and guidance to the idea. But eventually the idea will take on a power of its own. Then it coaxes, nurses, and drives you. All the great leaders have spoken on these laws. They didn't necessarily call them the law, but the whole universe operates by law. And everything's energy. Everything's energy. It doesn't matter what it is. This pen's energy. I have a sand timer here. That's energy. But everything is energy. The sand in here can be turned into glass. So the glass is holding the sand. Well, the glass used to be sand. What we did is change the molecular structure, and then we quit calling it sand, we start to call it glass.
Oh, that's great.
You could take water and boil it, and you stop calling it water and you start calling it steam. It's the same energy.
Yes.
Well, when you think, that's
Yes.
energy. And thought is the most potent form of energy there is. Your thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. So when you talk about working with energy, you're working with the law, and you should gain an understanding of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. You know, one of the things that gave me chills that you said is that we don't have a soul, we are a soul, right?
Big difference.
And I thought, yeah, that's a huge difference. I've never heard it that way before. And when you understand that, then you realize that everything around you is energy, and it literally can become a spiritual experience. And I've spent many years swimming against the stream.
You see, Spirit's waiting direction from the soul. That's why we're told to ask and you'll receive. But people don't believe it. Our belief is the missing point. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And if you reevaluate frequently, your belief will change. That's the value in studying. You're creating a greater and a greater belief. Like the only difference in earning 100 a year or 100 a month is in your belief system. You know?
Yeah.
People don't earn 100 a year because they want 100 a year. They're earning 100 a year because they don't know how to earn 100 a month. If they knew how, they'd be doing it.
Yes. Yes.
Truth is, they can earn 100 a week, but they don't know that. Okay.
Well, they tell themselves that's impossible, and so it becomes so.
All things are possible. I think the Wright brothers proved that. Ed Hillary proved that. Edison proved that. You know, all these people that have done great things, they all did it the same way. They did it by working in harmony with the law.
Yeah. So if someone gets stuck, let's try to make this very simple, because I love everything you're saying, and I 100% agree with you. So if someone is struggling and they want to start making more money, what's the first step they do? It's the first thing.
I think they have to make a decision they're going to earn more money. And when they make the decision, then they have to stick to it. If you make a decision you're going to earn more, then you have to know how much you're going to earn. And you make a decision you're already earning it, then you're on that frequency. See, the frequency you're on dictates what you earn. Well, you can raise the frequency that you're thinking on. If a person's, let's say most people are living on an AM frequency and they want to get FM music and they're not going to get it. You know, you got to get on the FM frequency. So I think if they want to earn more money, they've got to start by making a decision they're going to earn more, and then they have to make a decision how much more they're going to earn. And then go to someone that can teach them how to earn more money. You don't just say, I'm going to do it. You've got to learn how to do it. But you can learn it. Your children can learn it. You know, any child can learn it. He's got the thing here on money. Scott just gave it to me. Let me read it because it'll take a minute. He said, when money comes in quantities known as the big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. And that's the way things should come. You see water flowing downhill, no problem. Nothing will obstruct it. There exists a great stream of power which may be compared to a river. except that one side flows in one direction, carrying all who get into that side of the stream onward and upward to wealth. The other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into that side and not able to extricate themselves from it downward to misery and poverty. Now, I said every person who has accumulated a great fortune has recognized the existence of this stream of life, which consists of one's thinking process. The positive emotions of thought form the side of the stream which carries one to fortune. The negative emotions form the side which carries one down to poverty. This carries a thought of stupendous importance to the person who is following this with the object of accumulating a fortune. If you are in the side of the stream of power, which leads to poverty, this may serve as an oar, which will propel you over to the other side of the stream. It can serve you only through application and use. Merely reading and passing judgment on it one way or another will in no way benefit you. Now, he said poverty and riches often change places. Poverty may, and generally does, voluntarily take the side of riches, which when riches take the side of poverty, the change is usually brought about through well-constructed and carefully executed plans. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it, because it is bold and ruthless. Riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted. So do you see, I think the first thing you have to do is make a decision you're going to earn it, and then how much you're going to earn. And then seek out people that can teach you how to do it. You got to spend the time and the money to learn it. It's just like learning how to drive a car, fly a plane, or cook a meal. You can learn it. When I learned how to earn money, everything in my life changed. And
yeah, because it's not just about the money. It's about you growing and becoming the person that you were born to be. And through the pursuit of this worthy goal,
that's how you earn the money. That's the only way to
become more.
You've got to grow into it.
Yes. And then add more value. And the more value you bring to the world, the more valuable you become.
The law of compensation is very clear. It states the amount of money you earn is in exact ratio to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. It's the need for what you do. So you have to ask yourself, is there a great need for what you do? There's a phenomenal need for what we do. Great need. Of everywhere in the world. I've traveled all over the world, everywhere. People want to know how to enjoy more of life. So the need is there. Then it's your ability to do it. You get really good at this, and you're going to do very well. I've got very good at this. Now, it's the only thing I am good at. I don't want to do anything else, so I don't spend any time doing anything else. And the third one, the difficulty there is in replacing you. Well, if you're really good at something, you're very difficult to replace, your stock goes up.
Oh, that's so good. I love it. It feels so good. And I think that a lot of times, people will say, how do you know if you're on the right track? And I think it's by how you feel. If you're feeling excited and lifted up by this and inspired, then you know that you're flowing with the stream. And then you just watch for the clues, and then you act on them.
Well, it's by the results you get to. By their fruits, you'll know them. The results tell you which way you're going. If the results aren't there, I don't care, then there's something missing.
Yeah, that's true. That's your feedback system.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling good about it, and then you're getting the results that you want, and if not, then you adjust either your beliefs, or you get that feedback from your coach.
Yeah.
Right? Figure out what your blind spots are, and that's very hard to do by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you need help.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Bob, is there if you could go back and with all the wisdom that you've gained over the years, if you could go back and tell 10-year-old Bob some advice, give him some advice based on everything that you've learned, what advice would you give him?
Set a goal. Always have a goal. I have in my pocket a goal card. I've been carrying a goal card in my pocket for years, since 1961. When you decide on a goal, you paint the picture in words. When you do that, you impregnate the picture into a group of cells in your brain. Every time I touch that goal card, it triggers the picture in my mind. And as long as that picture is there, I keep moving in direction of it. And that is really the secret, I think, to living a good life. You got to have a reason for it. When you wake up in the morning, you have to have a good reason for waking up and going to work.
Wow, that is how you enjoy life more. I mean, That's the secret to everything, right?
It is.
Unbelievable. So good. So Bob, I know you have so many places people could go to check out the offerings that you have. You can go to bobproctor.com. You can go to www.bobproctor-chairmansclub.com. I'm going to have all these links in the show notes. Is there any particular place you'd like to direct people so that they can gain more of your wisdom?
I think you just go to Proctor Gallagher Institute. Proctor Gallagher. Just bobproctor.com. They'll take them everywhere. Go to bobproctor.com.
It'll forward right to
That'll
it.
get them to wherever they want to go.
Yeah, and you have a program right now that you could give them the old. They can get some more free training from you. So go to bobproctor.com and get started, because
if they go to bobproctor.com, they can download the Born Rich book.
Nice.
I wrote this in 1984. I'd been studying for 23 years at that time, and that was after 20-some years. Now, I'll tell you the subjects: me and money, how much is enough, the image maker, let go and let God, expect an abundance, law of vibration, the risk takers, the razor's edge, don't think in reverse, and the vacuum law of prosperity. These are excellent subjects. I wrote on it after studying for 24 years. That was 36 years ago. I am starting a program sometime in August. It's called the Bob Proctor Master Class. I've been studying the same things for 36 years since I wrote this. And we're going to be teaching it in the Master Class 1 hour a week for 26 weeks, covering all those subjects. So it's going to be, the Master Class, I think, is going to be pretty powerful.
Oh, 100%.
Just go to bobproctor.com.
Yeah, and check that out. That is that's incredible. So to be able to, for me to spend this short amount of time with you has been just an absolute honor. And to think about being able to spend 26 weeks just gleaning all that wisdom from you is an extraordinary experience. So everybody, that's a must do. Put that on your list, make it happen today. Bob, thank you so much for being a part of this program. This has really, really been extraordinary. This wisdom, it shows what a master you are at this, because you've been studying it for so long that the deepest, most profound insights just kind of pour out of you. Like it's just another day, right? Another day in Bob's world. So it's been extraordinary. And thank you so much for being a part of this program today.
Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Oh my goodness. You got to share this program. You got to get this to your friends. Share this with your children so that they understand all these amazing principles and strategies that Bob has laid out so eloquently. They're powerful, and yet they seem so simple and so easy. And that's because the truth is. So put these into action, make your life mesmerizing, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much, Tim. Bye now.
Hey, would you like more free tips on how to be a mesmerizing leader? Then check out mesmerizingleadership.com and also hang out with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tim Shurr. Thanks so much, and make your day a sure success. Hey, it's Tim Shurr. Would you like to learn my best secrets for how to be mesmerizing? Then head over to www.survivingtothriving.me. That's www.survivingtothriving.me. I'll see you there.